The unescapable truth is that the industry is changing in an unprecedented way. The rules have been rewritten, and the status quo is crumbling. But change doesn't have to mean the end. Change is an opportunity, a blank canvas for those ready to think outside the box. Enter Creatricity, the core of the new way of thinking about media, entertainment, and art. At Creatricity, we're tearing down barriers and creating new economic models where creativity thrives, ownership is celebrated, and opportunity is everywhere. Whether you're a storyteller, a dreamer, or a visionary, Creatricity is your home. This is where passion meets purpose, where creators redefine the possible. The doors are open. Be the change. Join the movement.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Creatricity. We're so excited that you guys are joining us here today. We are so excited about this incredible virtual panel series that we are starting here at Creatricity, and we're going to be launching that today with our Women in Power, Seizing the Power to Create in Film and Television. We're so excited to be here with you guys today. If you're just getting a chance to meet me, my name is Chasity Saunders, and I am your moderator in residence here at Creatricity. I'm so excited that whether it's the morning and you're here in Los Angeles or you're on the East Coast in this afternoon, that you have taken time out of your extremely busy day to be here with us to chime in with this amazing panel that we have coming up for you guys today. So I'm so excited to introduce the three lovely women that we have today. They are powerhouses in their own rights, and they have given us a little bit of their time today to help us, to help you guys to learn more about how they're seizing the moment and how you can also seize the moment in your career. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists to you guys this morning. First up, we have Miss Lauren Suckarie. I'm excited to have Lauren here today. She is a leader in inclusion. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you? Very well. Just giving a little brief introduction, and then I'm going to let you actually give us a little bit more about yourself. But Lauren Suckarie is a leader in inclusion, belonging, and community impact with a background in marketing, sales, and human resources across entertainment and tech, and a Houston native. And she holds a bachelor's in communications from the University of Houston and a master's in entertainment business from the University of Miami. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Lauren Suckarie to our panel this morning. Good morning, Lauren. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing amazing. So as Chastity was so kind to say, I'm Lauren Suckarie. I'm originally from Houston, as you mentioned. You know, foundationally, I am a singer. I've been blessed to tour the world globally, and music was my first introduction into the entertainment industry. However, after living and working in both New York and now LA, not only do I have the pleasure of remaining close to the music industry, but I'm proud to say that I've been working in TV and film for the past 6 years. I've worked with Mr. Rohan Marley, a wonderful company called Breaking Hits. It's all about amplifying independent artists. I'm also a momager, an entertainment host, and I have my own consulting business. So it's such an honor to be here, not only as a woman, but as a mom and just someone who's constantly had to kick down doors.
I love that. Thank you so much, Lauren. We're so excited to have you here. We cannot wait to hear your insight. Next, I'm going to introduce our next panelist, Miss Sarah Levine Hall. Sarah is a bilingual producer. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Giving them a little bit of background, and then we'll let you go a little deeper. But Sarah is a bilingual producer known for her work on high-profile events. She is also a Primetime Emmy award-winning artist with her outstanding contributions to television and production. Originally born in San Francisco and raised in Marin County, Sarah pursued her college education at UC Davis before moving to New York City. And I know we spoke a couple minutes before we started the live, and you're in New York City today, but share time between Orange County. So can you just give us a little bit more in depth of what you're working on right now and how you're seizing the moment as a woman in power?
Sure. Hi, everybody. As she said, I split time between LA and New York. I am in New York right now working on a show that will happen in May, which is exciting. Can't talk too much about, the specifics, but yeah, as far as seizing power and in this industry, it's I think right now the best way to answer that is just continuing to say yes to things that come along, but making sure that that's happening without crossing my own boundaries and trying to strike a balance between accepting too much work and saying yes to things that I should maybe pass on because I'm overwhelmed with scheduling and timing. So yeah, with the balance between coasts right now, hopefully figuring out a way to strike that balance better than I used to. So happy to be here today, though.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. And I read up that you're a Libra. Both of you ladies actually Libras. I am a Libra as well. So we love that balance. We're already there in that alignment of finding our balance. So thank you, ladies. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a great talk. And we can go ahead and introduce our last panelist. Last but not least, I'm so excited because this young lady I've known for over a decade, Miss Brittany Rodgers. She is a dynamic professional with nearly a decade of experience in entertainment in the industry as a multicultural PR and communications director. And she brings a wealth of expertise and knowledge and passion to all of her roles. I know that personally because I've worked with Brittany and love her dearly. So Brittany, welcome to the panel this morning.
Thank you.
Also, give the folks out there who don't know you as well as I do a little bit of background about what it is you do and how you are a woman who is empowered, seizing the moment to create in TV and film.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I am not a Libra, guys. I am a Gemini, so I'm so sorry.
One of my besties is a Gemini.
I'm so sorry to break this, but yes, I am a multicultural PR director at Warner Brothers Television Group, where I work across scripted, unscripted shows where we just highlight multicultural stories, our talent. I come from news. I have a news background. I went to Columbia College in Chicago, so I'm a newsie at heart. I've done some production work, but I fell into PR once I moved to LA 10 years ago and started doing, African-American publicity and really got my feet wet and just learned a lot across the board when it comes to multicultural and really highlighting those stories. So that's kind of a quick journey of mine, but yeah, I'm excited to be here with you ladies and celebrating Women's History Month.
Yes, so excited. I used to do a bunch of press junkets, and I remember when I was still living in New York like you, Sarah, and I would come out and Brittany was running these big press junkets, and I was one of, not that many young women of color that were in those spaces. So first, ladies, I know I don't have you for that long this morning. I want to jump right into it. I want to know how you ladies can share a little bit about your journey in the entertainment industry and how it's shaped your commitment towards promoting diversity. We're dealing with a lot with DE&I right now. And I just wondered if you ladies could talk a little bit about how some of your experience have shaped your commitment to keeping and promoting diversity in our industry.
Yeah, I can kind of jump in and go first. So my journey is a little bit interesting, as I shared. I started off as a touring musician, and then when I moved to LA, I kind of fell into the TV and film space because I also had a tech background in sales and marketing. So I first started working for Cast and Crew Entertainment, supporting, the production clients in the studios, just making sure everything was good with our digital products. And then I was able to pull in my experience, not only working with Miss Tina at Waco Theater Center. She has a phenomenal organization. And in some of my previous roles, I did a lot of work that's directly supporting communities and just really helping to amplify underrepresented voices. And so through all of my work and experience, I actually launched the very first DEI program and initiatives at Cast and Crew Entertainment. And that in turn has just snowballed into so many amazing things, including where I am today, leading community engagement and impact marketing. So just really building powerful relationships. So from my perspective, it's like, figure out a way to do what you can, in whatever way that may mean. I've always known that I've had a purpose for just being a voice for those who don't have a voice, or helping to provide opportunities and access to individuals. There's so many people who, when they think of the entertainment industry, they just think like, okay, I need to be an actor or a singer or a performer, but they don't think about all the opportunities that exist behind the camera. And so that's also a big passion of mine. I also serve as a board member for Kids in the Spotlight. If anyone's ever looking for a nonprofit to get involved with, they empower foster youth through filmmaking. So that's another way. So I just try to tie every aspect of the things that I do into making it meaningful and purposeful in the ways that I can. So that's my little spiel.
I love that. Thank you, Lauren. Brittany, I want to ask you a little, I think you could answer this because I know that you work in this space, but I wanted to know, like, what strategies have you found most effective in reaching and resonating with multicultural audiences, like in some of the campaigns that you've worked on?
Yeah, personally for me, I like to reach people through like social media. I'm really, really big on social media. And when it comes to strategy, it's like, where can we place ourselves where our audience is going to be? Whether that's like, if they're at a basketball game, do we show a trailer there? If they're, in the park, do we do a pop-up in the park? I like to jokingly say, I like to make a splash. So whenever I'm working on a campaign, it's like, how are we going to make noise? What does that mean within our strategy? Like, is it something small? Are we activating at a festival, or are we just sending out a press mail, or are we, working with influencers? So it really depends on the project and our talent, also the budget. That also, means a lot. But I like to get very creative. It's not always cookie cutter for me, because again, I want to make a splash. So that splash might be, the water might be a little hot when sometimes it's used to being cold, so it just really, really depends. But for me, strategy is big. It doesn't always follow suit, but at least you have that, roadmap to like, help you with your campaign, whether it's a 6-month campaign or even a month campaign. And it's an all encompass for me too, so strategy is big for publicity, and especially in multicultural, because you want to be very strategic.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that. That was very insightful. I think, all of us as entertainers, I'm sure a lot of the creators that are chimed in today, whether they want to go into PR and marketing or whether they want to be a writer, like, you have to run yourself as a brand. And so even with us having our own personal platforms, we have to have ways that make a splash, as you would say. Sarah, I'm going to direct this next question towards you. I know you do a lot of writing, and I love how secretive it is because you're working on some of the biggest, award shows and campaigns in the industry. But with that, I wonder, when it comes down to like your writers' rooms or people that you're working with, how have you found strategies that help you to resonate with your audiences authentically? Like, how do you find ways to respect, as you're writing, these diverse cultures that you're working with?
Well, so one thing, because I work in variety TV, not scripted TV, so the term showrunner or producer in the types of things that I do, it's not actually a writing position, it's a producing position. So it's a bit of a different, it's like a slightly different way in to some of these things. But behind the scenes, the first thing is like being really intentional with the hiring process and who is being brought on in the different departments, whether that's the writing team in the writer's room, or the directing team, or even the production team, people who are building packages for award shows, things like that, and making sure that there is representation in a lot of different areas. Because like with scripted programming, when you have different perspectives and people come from all different areas and are able to bring the wealth of their life experience into the creative process, the overall end result is always better. It's more representative, it's deeper, it's more connected to more people. And ultimately, when that is the goal of any of these large scale events, is to connect to as many people as possible authentically. The most effective way to do that is to make sure that the people in the creative process are representative across, as many areas as possible. So that's a huge, it's creating a team. It's creating a team with as much breadth and depth of experience, age-wise, everything that you can possibly bring to it.
Yeah, producing. Literally making sure that the show runs from top to bottom, creating the budget. Just all of the things, overseeing it all. I love that we have such strong, dynamic women here with us today for Creatricity. We're so excited about this panel series, and especially because it's Women's History Month. So happy Women's History Month to all of you ladies. I'm sure have a lot of young ladies that are joining us today that are going into these spaces that want to be strong, independent women that are running these brands and these companies and working with the biggest and the best in the business. But I wanted to ask each of you ladies, like, as a woman who's in a leadership position, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced and had to overcome in the entertainment industry?
I would like to when Brittany was talking, it made me think of something. one of the biggest obstacles that I often face is budget. Like you're expected to accomplish all these big goals and reach these audiences and do all these things. And we as women, we're magical. So, let me know what the goal and objective is. I'm going to make it happen. But I find that sometimes it's easy to get discouraged when you are tasked with a goal. You don't have the budget, you don't have the resources or whatever, and you have to get really scrappy about it. But I would just encourage all the women, like, don't underestimate the power of relationship building and networking. And if there's something specific that you're seeking, even if no one hands it to you, if you can get yourself in the door, work the room, make that introduction, be confident in yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Some of my biggest blessings in life have been received by me simply just saying, you know what, I'm going to walk up to this person, introduce myself, and say exactly what I'm looking to do. Maybe they'll say no, maybe they'll say yes, but 9 times out of 10, it always results in a referral or someone just, saying, call me if you need advice. And if you learn to just take those tidbits and use them to your advantage, I think that's where you win. Also, don't be afraid to pivot. Motherhood. I wish I could have a whole a whole panel on motherhood, and being a working mom in this industry. It's so easy, whether you're a mom, not a mom, whatever the case may be, to get discouraged. But just don't give up, and just know that if you find a really strong community too, it's really powerful. And I know it can be hard in LA. I lived in New York too, and I feel like in New York it was so easy to find my village, but in LA, it really took some time. But once you find that, it's such a blessing.
Yeah. Brittany, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I honestly, Lauren, agree with you when it comes to budget, because that's always been like a big thing for me. Working on campaigns, sometimes, you might have talent that no one knows, or you might have talent that is an A-lister, but still the budget is very low. And you want to make sure like we're marketing to the right people, we're getting it out there. That is our job, to like basically get it out there. And also I will say, just kind of building courage around the what, just in this industry. Like I remember being a junior publicist and just kind of being so scared to like speak up in meetings. And now I have no filter. I have built boundaries, but it's a filter. It's a respectful, filter. And I like to sometimes go back and forth and really prove my point on why we should be there. I'm also a big believer on putting together a PowerPoint on like why we should do this. Sometimes it's easier to really spill things out. And I know it's, we get caught in our head and we're like, we don't want to do this, but it helps you along the way. And people really see that you're confident and that you really mean well and you're in it, like you really feel strong behind this campaign. So, and also building community, having a mentor, even having a mentee, because I love my coordinators so much. They keep me young and fresh. I like to they teach me so much. So, just staying in the know, being in it, as much as we're always like, we're consumed with so much, stay in it. Just know what's going on, stay fresh. So yeah, that's kind of for me, I would say.
Yeah. I love that you touched on mentorship. That's something that we're really, really big on here at Creatricity. We actually have a program with mentorship, and I would love to talk to you ladies offline about that and get you guys to, team up with some of the younger folks that are plugged in with us. But mentorship is so important. Sarah, could you also answer that for us? I know as a producer and overseeing these big, amazing opportunities, that's got to be, have some things to say about that. So could you chime in?
Yeah, I mean, from the budget standpoint, luckily, I'm fortunate to the way that our productions are structured. I'm focused mostly on creative, but obviously we need to cater the creative to the budget. And there is definitely, globally in this industry, a reduction or the expectation that we'll do things kind of for free, or just give up our time for free. And I think one of the things that I hope that the younger generation or people who are coming into this business are starting to do better at than I did when I was first starting out. I was so willing to just do whatever for no money for so long. And that was it. There, kind of to Lauren's point, is there's the version of that where you're saying yes because you're making those connections and you're building those relationships, which is hugely important. But what I wish someone had told me in the beginning, which I'm hoping to bring to people coming into this, is you don't have to sacrifice yourself, your worth, your integrity in order to build those connections and make those, relationships start to stick. And I think as leaders in this industry, we as women, I certainly would never expect someone to do the things that were expected of me, because we're
Yes.
starting to make that shift and pay that forward in a new way. I think as far as it relates to mentorship, I mean, I was very lucky to have some really strong women that I looked up to when I was first starting in this industry, who taught me how to treat people with kindness, who treated me with kindness, and set this example for how to just move through this world, which is not easy as a woman ever. So that's a global statement. That's not unique to the entertainment business. But I think, that type of gratitude of, oh, I watched this person navigate the situation in a way that maybe wasn't my first instinct. Now that I see how she did that, I know that I don't have to apologize for speaking up in a room. I don't have to continue to make myself small. I don't have to hide parts of myself in a room full of people that are intimidating. I can show up in my own skin. I say this, I still struggle. I had a meeting this morning that was still a little like, oof, I don't know how I showed up there. So it's always been a little bit of a process, but I do for my coordinators, for people who are coming up under, continuing to try to lead by example, and if just being available to them if they've got questions, or they're not sure how to ask for more money or navigate a situation, or they were shut down somehow and they don't know how to come back from that. Like, I think the more we can continue to allow for those conversations to happen in the open instead of just behind closed doors, the better we'll all be. And the more this will start to, permeate the rest of what's acceptable, what's not, the rest of the industry. So
I love that. I love that you touched on that, Sarah, because I think that's something that a lot of us all deal with in this industry is imposter syndrome. So I wanted to ask you ladies if you deal with it, because, we all kind of do, and how you ladies deal with it when it does show up in your day. Because Sarah, even though you had this rough morning, you still showed up for us. So if you ladies are dealing with or have dealt with imposter syndrome, what are some of the ways that you deal with it?
I say yes to things like this. I feel like that now. I don't feel like I read the credits of Lauren and Brittany and you, and I'm like, I'm like, do I qualify? Like that's the kind of still the first thought sometimes. So continuing to say yes, continuing to show up, continuing to remember that, yes, but I think that's the most straightforward way to do it.
Absolutely.
I agree. I completely agree with what you said, Sarah, because even I looked at you all's credits. I was like, they're so amazing. But like you said, continuing to show up, and I try to do a good job of just like looking back at my journey and reminding myself of how far I've come, that I am worthy. And I've honestly been really blessed in my corporate life. Of course, as I mentioned, I have clients and different organizations that I also work with, but Cast and Crew Entertainment, specifically the leadership that I've worked with there, they just have done such a wonderful job of, or maybe it's me. Let me give myself the credit for, being confident to walk into rooms and have certain conversations. And, it's just like, hey, do what you need to do. They've always created spaces and opportunities for me to just be myself. And I'm grateful because I didn't used to be unapologetically me. I used to think like, should I have braids or should I go make my hair look a certain type of way when I'm going into a job interview? And I never will forget that moment where I was like, you know what? I'm not about to stress and feel like I have to have 30 inches of hair flowing down my back and straight so I look ethically ambiguous. It's like, no, I'm going to wear my box braids, or I'm going to wear this or wear that, So, and I think that clicked for me probably like during the pandemic. I had a lot of time to sit with myself, as we all did. And I think that gave me an opportunity to truly have a rebirth and just boldly and confidently go after the things that I wanted, and just show up, continuing to show up, Sarah, to your point.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I'm kind of the same. I looked at your titles and I was like, okay, but to your point, Lauren, I have to look back at my journey. Again, I didn't start in PR. I started in news, and just to see like the transition and like continuously growing and just being thankful. One thing that I'm really, really big on is a gratitude journal. I am so big on that, of just like being thankful of the small things that I have right now, even just in my career, just being very thankful on that, and just being like, I'm thankful for, being able to write a press release, just having those small skills. Honestly, yeah, it's just, and also I think for me, it's taking time for myself. Also, like if it has to be, you know, sometimes imposter syndrome comes from being on social media. So if that is me taking a break, or if that's me, you know, going for a walk for 30 minutes and putting my phone in my, you know, fanny pack or whatever, just to like take time for myself, I think that helps a lot. And just knowing that my journey is not everyone else's journey, and really, really standing behind that and believing in that, that we all have our own journeys and what is meant for us is for us.
Absolutely. And I wanted to piggyback off of something Sarah said too really quickly. Sarah, when you were speaking on, you know, like having those conversations that sometimes people don't talk about, like whether it's pay or whether it's like I have a friend, as I am on my entrepreneurial journey, like she's been empowering me and reminding me to demand my worth. And, you know, because when you're in the process of building those relationships and trying to get in those doors, you do sometimes have to do things or do certain work for free. But at a certain point, it's like, no, you have to make sure that you know your worth and have those, like, what's your rate, you know, or what do you charge? How do you navigate this thing? And that goes back to community. So I think that definitely supports with the imposter syndrome, having people around you who empower you.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, I know that I only have a couple minutes left with Sarah and Brittany, but this is all about seizing the moment in your film and television career. So before I get you ladies out of here, I want you to tell me, as Hollywood is evolving and trying to figure itself out, and it's been doing that for a couple of years now, where are you telling creatives to go to get their story and ideas out to the masses for profit? And where do you see the future of Hollywood and the TV industry? I know that's a little
yeah, I'm like, to get their stories. I'm honestly like, if that is reading, if that is listening to an audiobook, if that is, I like to always say market research on some things. If that's just me like hanging out at a party, that's market research, because you are seeing what people are doing, what they like. So it just helps you, you know, find a cool idea, or, you know, just being in different groups that you probably aren't hanging out with. So I feel like just tap into things that you probably won't do or you do on a regular, and just like get your brain going, whether that's sitting in the park or something, you know. And honestly, when it comes to the future of Hollywood, it's interesting, because again, I'm a newsie, and I remember being at the station living in Houston where they were like, news is dead. And yet I'm literally in my office right now and the news is on my TV right now. So it's ever changing. I'm hoping for the best. You know, I try to stay positive about things. I hope to see more diversity, you know, within television and film. I'm hoping we're going into a right direction where it's opening up more doors for women across the board. You know, so in, you know, men too, we're not shying the men. But yeah, I want to see more. I don't know where it's going to be, you know, honest, but we're just going to keep going. And I always say, you know, you got to go over the bumpy road before you can get to the red carpet. And that is just what we're doing right now with this industry.
That is so real. I love that. I love that. Sarah, did you want to chime in there? I know we got.
I want to second everything Brittany said. Yes. As far as staying inspired, it's read the book, watch the show, go for the walk, go to the event that you weren't sure if you wanted to go to. It goes back to that. I think saying yes to things that maybe wouldn't be your first instinct, but stay curious. To stay inspired is a great bit of advice that I was given, and I try to live by as much as possible. And as far as the future of this industry, you know, I being in live TV, especially a lot of award shows, the rhetoric for a long time also was that's dying. It's a dinosaur. It's headed out. You know, no one wants to sit and watch a 3-hour broadcast anymore. They only want to see things on TikTok. And I feel like that also is sort of not true. Like ratings are up. People have a different way of consuming things. So I don't know where this industry is headed. I don't know that it knows where it's headed, but I think the more present we can stay, the more conversations like this that happen. It does feel like there's a bit of a sea change happening with the leadership positions, people who get to make decisions. It's starting to become us. It's starting to become a lot more women. I'm actually encouraged by some of the, you know, the Zooms that I join, and it used to be a very, you know, homogenous look, and now it isn't. So I feel like there is progress. It's slow, but it's happening, and that will hopefully, you know, affect the quantity and quality of programming that we're able to start to create.
I love that. Lauren, do I have you for like 5 more minutes?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, because I know I got to get Brittany and Sarah out of here. I want to be extremely respectful of your time and your boundaries because I know you ladies have to get back to work. But we just want to thank you so much for sharing some time with us today. If there's any last thoughts that you want to leave our audience with, or any ways that folks out there can reach out and get in touch with you, because I know that they will want to, please leave us with that, and then I'll let you ladies go. And Lauren, we're going to hang out for a couple more minutes if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you again. This was great. It was nice meeting you women virtually, Chasity. You know, we are friends, we go back. So I'm happy to have this moment with you 10 years later. This is crazy. But I can be reached everywhere on LinkedIn. I am Brittany Rodgers, Rodgers. And then on social media, it is Britt Lachey everywhere. So yeah, contact me. I always respond. And if you ever need my email, I will definitely give it out.
Thank you so much, Britt. Thank you.
Thank you again for having me. It was so nice to meet you. I hope we get to, reconnect actually in real life at some point. It would be amazing. I'm terrible at social media. I have a private account, so that's not the best way to get a hold of me. But I think Steph with Creatricity is a great avenue. She'll be able to connect in. My email is, open to whoever would want to reach out. So let Stephanie know.
I love it. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for bringing all of your wealth and knowledge to us. We really, really, truly appreciate it. And Lauren, thank you for being so generous. We had to get those ladies out of here, but I'm so happy that you have a couple more minutes with us. So we're gonna hang out for a couple minutes if that's okay. And I still did actually want to get your insight on, the fact that Hollywood is evolving and trying to figure itself out, and where you see the future of Hollywood and TV going, because I know that you work directly in TV and film.
Absolutely. And I come from like the back end. So working with the digital products and all the products that support the TV and film industry and creating partnerships and opportunities to empower independent filmmakers and those who produce films that focus on the underrepresented journey. So what I hope is that more of those stories get to be told, because that's been a really big focus for me. And a lot of people don't realize the amount of effort that it takes to produce these independent films and the amount of dedication. And, like you may only have a certain amount of budget. I remember, my cousin actually is a producer and filmmaker, and he had a tremendous budget and he was just producing this really magical project, and he reached the end of his road and he was like, how do I secure more funding? He got it done, right? But a lot of people don't understand that part of the journey. So my hope is that, there's more sources and resources available to these underrepresented filmmakers and those who are wanting to tell these stories. When it comes to casting, Chasity, me being a momager and then me also having my own manager, it's really difficult as a woman of color sometimes to figure out like, well, how do I want to have my hair? Do I have to keep buying a wig every other day to like have a certain look? And to me, I would think that we're beyond that point where people understand, specifically for Black women, that we wear our hair in different types. And just because we have braids with beads in it, that doesn't mean we have to take them out for casting and wear an afro or whatever the case may be. So I just really hope that there's more space for genuine acceptance of diverse cultural experiences. We've come a long way, and those stories are being told, but there's still so much work that needs to be done. So
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, between being a model and an actress and TV host, my head is exploding when I'm going to a casting and then I have an audition afterwards and I'm dressing for a character. I overstand you. And also one of our both of our co-founders also are moms as well as artists. And so I love getting to see how you ladies are navigating that. I hope that one day God blesses me to be in the same position, but I know that it is a lot of work. And I'm sure a lot of the folks that are chiming in are like, how are these ladies doing it all? I know for you as a Libra, we're big on balance and finding that. So I'm sure that's something that you use. But I also would ask you, because I know that you work with a lot of teams, right, in your position. How would you say in your leadership power, like what are some of your leadership power tools, like ways that you employ to strengthen your teams and to help them make the best products and the best outcomes?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I pride myself on is creating opportunities for cross collaboration. I know a lot of times people talk about how important their external partners are, but your internal partners are so important. And if you create that synergy, and I mean, it's important to be a good person all around, right? But specifically, if you truly learn how to empower your internal teammates and create phenomenal working dynamics, which I know that can't always be easy, but if you can make it happen, that's truly how you can drive your own success. And I was actually responsible for launching our mentorship program, the very first mentorship program at Cast and Crew, and that's created phenomenal pathways for success. The company Cast and Crew, they acquired Backstage, Final Draft. So there's all these different brands that are under our umbrella. And a lot of times our employees wouldn't know necessarily that certain opportunities exist, right? So throughout these past years, we've just done like a really wonderful job of putting focus on that. So that way the employees at Cast and Crew understand and know that there's so many different avenues that you can pursue, whether you want to support the production teams directly, or if you want to support writers and filmmakers and creators, there's opportunities and pathways. So I say all that to say it's that cross collaboration is really important. And that's one thing that I've really had a focus on. And we're all remote too, or not all of us, but a lot of us are remote. So being in different cities, different spaces, that's really key. So
yeah. Oh, I love that so much. You don't even know. I'm literally listening to you in my brain. I'm taking notes to myself. I'm like, I didn't even know that existed, So it's like every day we find out more. I didn't know that there was a mentorship program. Just like here at Creatricity, we have one as well. So maybe there's a way for us to, cross and work together. I mean, there's just so many ways that we get to seize the moment, right? And I think that especially with everything that's happened in our industry between the strikes and, the pandemic and, a lot of working remote, I'm just now starting to get back out there and go in person. And so I think it's so important to have these conversations with folks like yourself and women like yourself that are still navigating and pivoting and finding ways through the ups and the downs of our industry. We've heard that survive until 25 saying, but what I guess, as we're starting to wrap things up here, I'm sure there are a lot of folks out there that want to know, like, how did you survive? How did you pivot? Was there any insight that you can give us on how people can continue to seize the moment through all of the ups and downs and the changes that have happened, or maybe a way that you were able to do that?
Absolutely. I would just remind everyone to try your best to be present, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at doing it or even, but just trying to really sit and be still. And I believe in the power of prayer. So whenever I have a moment and I'm just like, okay, well, which direction should I go? I pray and I try to be really intentional about being still to figure out what I should do next, and a lot of times I will have individuals who want to work with me or who are, so excited to, and you also got to be careful with that too, because some people try to come in your life to take your resources and, try to connect with you to meet who and I'm always happy to help and be a connector, but having a spirit of discernment too. Exactly. Because that was something that I struggled with when I first moved to LA, just really trying to find my own village. And then I would find that some would connect simply just because they see who I know, or you know what I mean? So having a spirit of discernment, just remembering to look back and realize how far you've come. And then also I feel like we tend to put ourselves on our own timeline, right? But then you realize that you continue to grow and get older. It's like, wait a minute, like, hold on, the best is yet to come. Like I thought when I was 25 that I needed to have this accomplished by the age of 30, or I thought that I needed to have this accomplished by the time I'm 31 or whatever. And then you look back and you're like, what do they say? Like when you want to make God laugh, like tell him your plans or something like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think just being encouraged and being present. Yeah.
I love that. I'm a big spiritual girly. Me and God are so locked in. And I'm big on like my power hour in the morning, waking up, prayer, meditation, finding out before I even look at my phone what my agents and managers or Instagram wants from me, what God wants from me and how he wants to use me. I always say, God, allow me to be love and light in the world. And when they see me, God, let them see you. So I love that you talked on the spirituality part, because I feel like, especially in our industry, it's the unknown, right? It's working as an artist is being a you know, a freelancer sometimes. And I really do feel like God carries me from glory to glory and from, you know, whatever I'm supposed to do and however he wants to use me. So I love it that you said that and that you feel that way. Thank you so
And
much
don't
for
be afraid to say no. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut, but don't be afraid to say no. Because I feel like sometimes people get themselves into situations because they feel like they have to say yes, because how will I ever get another opportunity like this? If it doesn't align, do not be afraid to say no. You will be blessed with something, you know.
I love that. I love that. One door closes, another door opens. Lauren, thank you so much. This was the perfect way to wrap up our conversation today. I really enjoyed meeting you and getting a chance to hear all of the ways that you're seizing the moment in our industry. I know that we'll continue to connect beyond this. For any of our viewers that are out there that want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? What's the best way?
Absolutely. So I am Lauren Suckarie on LinkedIn. So you can absolutely reach out to me there. My last name is spelled Suckarie. And on Instagram, I am LX. So ELLE and then an X and then Lauren, LAUREN. And if you would like to email me personally, absolutely, please reach out to Stephanie. And I'll make sure that, you know, she gets that to she'll make sure she gets that to anyone. So thank you in advance, Stephanie.
Shout out to Stephanie. That's my girl.
Yes.
She rolls us down. Founder of Creatricity. Incredible.
Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. I mean, I've been so blessed by this conversation, and, you know, may we continue to inspire others through our presence in the work that we do.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of Women's History Month. And that goes for you guys out there as well. Again, I'm Chasity Saunders. I'm your moderator in residence here at Creatricity. We pray that you guys actually got a chance to get a lot from this conversation. I know that I got so much from this conversation. This is our virtual panel series. We're so excited to be bringing to you guys. And again, today was Women in Power, Seizing the Moment to Create in Film and Television. We'll be able to run this back for you guys. For all of you guys that joined us on Creatricity's Instagram Live and on our YouTube Live, we would like to say thank you guys so much for being here with us. If there's any questions that you have for us or any comments you have, any other virtual panel series that you guys would love for us to dive into, we would love to do that for you. Again, this was our women's empowerment conversation. It was incredible. Thank you to all of our panelists for being here today. And thank you guys as well for being here. And we hope that you guys will connect with us. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube at Creatricity. And until next time, we will see you. We pray that you take care of yourselves, love on yourselves, and continue moving onward and upward. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.